Hello, everybody. Good morning. Trying to find my glasses, honey. Hold on. Good morning. Good morning. On this thankful Thursday, we're going to go into the book Everything Happens for a Reason. We're in part one, Why Everything Happens. The next chapter, the first part we read was Everything Does Happen for a Reason. And we're on the next section, A Voyage of Discovery. I might take my glasses off every now and then to read, which I'm about to do now because it's easier. A Voyage of Discovery. That was the beginning of my own Voyage of Discovery, which we're talking about. Miss Myra Kirschbaum. She wrote the book. I just want to read it. Ooh. Read some sections of it. Gonna have to put these back on. Gonna have to be Miss Peabody, okay? That was the beginning of my own Voyage of Discovery. Let me see where you can put it. Okay. Wow. I thought it really changed everything if you can discover the reason why. I'm going to take a more because it's not right. Why some life event has overtaken you. But I was still skeptical. I was far from convinced that Scott had discovered the real reason why he'd gotten sick, or if a real reason could be discovered, but it had meaning for him. And as a therapist, I had to take this seriously. Just imagine, I thought, if I could help other people discover what Scott was lucky enough to discover. Deep down, of course, I knew how badly I needed this myself. This is her story, A Voyage of Discovery. I'm sure I've had more than my share of blessings. I've been happily married for a long time. I have two great kids. I have good friends over the years. It's been my privilege to help hundreds of thousands of people. I love my work. So maybe you're wondering, hey, what does Myra know about what it's like to go through something really bad? Good question. I grew up with lost bait in my bones as a child of a Holocaust survivor. I lost the entire world in which I was supposed to grow up. Yeah, my parents survived, but everyone else in my family was killed. My mother's seven brothers and sisters, my father's five, all four of my grandparents. I also lost the early years of my childhood. I was smuggled across Europe at the bottom of a hay wagon. I almost died of dysentery when I was 3 months old. I lived in a refuge camp for the first 4 years of my life. At barracks full of grown-ups recovering from shattered lives doesn't make for a good time nursery school. When I was 4, my life again turned upside down and inside out. I lost my father and my sister. My parents had gotten divorced, and my sister disappeared from my life. Then I left the only world I'd known, the refuge camp, to come to America. When I arrived in New York, I was so skinny that one of my distant relatives burst into tears when he saw me. My mother went to work in a clothing factory, and I had to take care of my brother. She eventually remarried, but my stepfather was no bargain, and we were poor. I didn't get a new dress until I was 10, and I bought it for myself with the money I had earned babysitting. The next chapter of A Voyage of Discovery. Searching for meaning. The parts of my childhood that were tough for me were not the parts that were touched by history. History is invisible to kids. The parts that hit the hardest were the ones that affected millions of Americans. Seeing your parents break up, losing a father, not having money, feeling like an outsider, not having a happy family life. Like everyone else, I grew up asking why all this had happened. I really wanted to know. I was afraid if my past was meaningless, my future would be meaningless too. But if I could discover why these things had happened to me, even better. If I could really feel that something positive had come out of them, then I could feel safe going forward. I was very religious, so I did what lots of people do who are struggling to uncover the meaning of the events of their life. Every night I prayed to God to tell me the reason these things had happened to me and my family. When I got older, I asked for some kind of explanation for the Holocaust itself, but if God was telling me, I didn't hear him then. You can only hit your head against a stone wall for so long. Eventually, I grew tired of asking why. So I went the other way. I decided it was a stupid question. There is no stupid question. I had wanted an answer so I could feel stronger. But now I decided I'd be the kind of person who was so strong she didn't need to know why. Next section. God gets called on the carpet. Hold on. But I never forgot that people's hunger for meaning was very real. I saw this when I was 19. My brother's wife had just given birth to their first child. The baby's arms were twisted into a tortured looking position. He had trouble breathing. He couldn't nurse on his own because his sucking reflex was defective. The doctors knew that he almost certainly wouldn't survive, and if he did, he would have to spend his entire life being completely cared for. I spent those first days with my brother as the doctors examined his son and learned the full extent of his difficulties. Finally, my brother couldn't take it anymore. He left the hospital, and I went with him. I'll never forget what happened. When we reached the parking lot, my brother had been a tough kid, a gang member, and an MP in the army. Now he was crying. I never seen that before. What he said was, why did this happen? He wanted someone, the universe, God himself, to be called on the carpet and show that there was something in what had happened to his son. But I didn't know how to find the answer for myself then. How could I help my brother? About a year earlier, I witnessed a situation in which God really was called on the carpet. It involved my sister-in-law's brother. Everyone thought of him as a once in a generation wonder, brilliant, handsome, athletic, thoroughly good. The summer before he was to start college, he was working as a counselor at a camp for kids with health problems. He was playing baseball, standing in the outfield, and there was clouds, but not no threat of rain. A bolt of lightning came out of the sky and killed him instantly. Wow. The odds of this happening must be one in a billion. Our shock and sense of loss were overwhelming. Why would this have happened to anyone? Why did this happen to him, of all people? As the weeks went on, the question started to obsess everyone in our community. Eventually, professor and the clergy held a seminar in which they tried to pierce the veil of the discovery of why God had let this happen. But they couldn't come to a conclusion. You know how it is. People either say God is all knowing and all powerful. So who the heck can figure out why he does stuff? Or they say God is one step removed from the day running of the universe. So why look to him for answer? There was my family and all those smart people, millions like them, convinced that the search for the meaning is necessary for our souls. And there I was convinced there was no reason why things like this happen. They were right. I was wrong. The next section, the search begins again. I stayed stuck in my state of skepticism and error until Scott opened my eyes to the possibility that we can find positive meaning in anything that happens if we just know how to look for it. But at the point, all I knew for sure was that one human being had discovered this. Here's the thing, though. Even if I didn't know the secrets of the cosmos, I knew people. So I figured that if there was one Scott, there had to be a billion Scotts out there who had discovered reasons for the events in their own lives while the rest of us were still searching. I made a decision to look for these people and learn from them. Of course, this is how we always do research here at the Chestnut Hill Institute. So that part of part was nothing new. We looked at some difficult tasks, parenting teenagers, keeping love alive, maintaining peak emotional energy, figuring out how to change your life. And then we search for men and women who have succeeded at the task so that everyone can learn from them. And that's what I did here. I cast my net wide, broadcasting requests for people who found a meaning for a negative event in their life to come forth. I wound up talking to hundreds of people and I asked all of them, what reason did you eventually find? How did you find it? And what difference did it make to you? Seek and ye shall find. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and you will find all your riches. And remember to seek his face. Seek and ye shall find. It turns out there was lots of people who'd been where Scott and I had been hungry for meaning, but unable to find it. Like me, many of them had gone through a period where they'd given up hope. But like Scott, they keep looking and looking and looking. And eventually they found the meaning of an event that thought had no meaning. One guy discovered meaning in a friend's death when he said, okay, that house I was wanting to build with my own hands, no more delay. I'm going to do it. And so he built it and began the slow process of changing from being a guy who left all his dreams on the shelf to being a guy who understood the importance of making dreams come true. Every once in a while, even though there's never convenient time for making a dream come true, sometimes it was the healing, but so slow hands of time that brought people their discovery. Sometimes it was an inner struggle, a dark night of a soul. Sometimes it was falling into the path of a wise teacher. Eventually, though, they found reasons that made sense to them and allowed them to move forward with inner strength, feeling confident and full of hope. Still, I wanted to be careful. What good is discovering a reason why it if it makes you miserable? So I also took measures of how satisfied these people were with their lives. That helped me focus on the lesson and gifts that produce good outcomes, like growth, happiness, and emotional energy. By the end, I felt I struck gold. It turns out that people can find positive meanings in absolutely everything that happens to us in this crazy world. What I learned about how everything happens for a reason changed the way I see life myself. Everything. It will change the way you see everything. Let me see how long. Remember, I'm going to go back and repeat something. Uh, she said she talked to hundreds of people and asked them, what reason did you eventually find? How did you find it? And what difference did it make to you? Lastly, she learned that everything happens for a reason can change the way you see things in your life. Everything. It will change the way you see everything to you. So this chapter, each section was seek and ye shall find. The search begins again. I'm gonna go back. God gets called on the carpet. We can call God out and ask him, why is this going on? I don't get it. Is this your plan? Everything has to be questioned. And searching for meaning in the chapter A Voyage of Discovery. Next Thursday, we will go on to the 10 reasons, one basic principle. And everything happens for a reason. Have a blessed day on this thankful Thursday. Best of interest. Remember, everything happens for a reason. We don't know why. It's written in the book of life. We're all in this giant book. And I'm going to tell you, my grandson said something. It's funny. I'm going to put my glasses on. That we're in the book of life. And it's this big book. Everybody has a page. We can't see it because it's invisible. It's only for the all-knowing to see it. So, peace. Love you later.